Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the JYMs podcast. This is just you and me. I'm Deontay, and I'm back with another episode. If you checked out the last episode, Access, I appreciate you for the support. Please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and just drop some feedback for me on that video if you get a chance. At the end of this video, drop even more feedback. Feedback helps me. It helps me deliver better content for you guys, and make sure I'm relaying the information properly. Right? If you are inquiring to be on the show, or if you want me to reach out to you, man, leave something in the comments for me. I'm down for reaching out. I'll reach out, or you reach out to me. However it goes, I'm down for it, man. But definitely go check out that episode. Episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 was Idols. Episode 2 was Access. This is episode 3 of season 4, and this episode is titled Process. Okay, we are going to talk about process and how beautiful process is. Not gonna lie to y'all, man. I'm gonna be honest. I did not feel like recording today. I literally right now I'm recording this, and I had church this morning and stuff, but I didn't feel like recording this, and I forced myself. Clap it up for that. Clap it up for that. I forced myself to get up and come and record this episode because discipline. You know what I mean? Discipline. It is a process. This is a process. My setup, all this stuff, recording, having my notes, having the little sound effects and stuff, all part of the process. But y'all understand what that is in a second. But yeah, man. If you haven't checked out the last episode, make sure you go check that out. Subscribe. Shooting towards 100 subscribers. That's the goal for right now. You got to set goals for yourself. If you haven't set goals for yourself, man, make sure you do that. It's important. Important to have a target that you're trying to reach. What's the saying? If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. If you fail, the failure to prepare is preparing to fail. All right, so make sure you set some goals for yourself. 100 subs is the goal. Let's set a goal for 10 likes. It could be the last video, it could be this video, it don't matter. If you're seeing it, just leave a like. I mean, literally, as you're seeing the first couple seconds of the video, just go ahead and just hit that like button, man. It helps me out. It costs you nothing. So, yeah. If you are supporting the content and supporting the podcast, man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your support. And yeah, definitely, I mean, you're supporting, you're watching the content. I want to make sure that I'm translating this information as best as possible. So definitely leave feedback for me. It helps me be better about my craft, and I need you guys. So yeah, definitely help me out in that area. But without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get into the episode. This episode is titled Process. Okay, let's go ahead and start with defining the basis of what or the main point I want to get across through this episode. If there's nothing else you take with you out of this episode, just take this thought, ponder on it, and apply it to your life as you see fit. Okay. In a modern world of convenience being the norm, are we missing out on vital nourishment from the natural struggles in process? Okay. One more time. In a modern world of convenience being the norm, so convenience is normal today. All right. Are we missing out on vital nourishment from the natural struggles in process? The answer to that question is yes. And basically, what this episode is going to be is me explaining some of the things we're missing out because we skip process and we want things immediately. We want it instant. Right now, we don't want to wait, and we don't want to be involved in the process of making these things either exist or work properly. All right. So that's what I'm going to be explaining or talking about in this episode. Having it easy isn't always best for you, and everything that glitters ain't gold. You've heard you've heard that type of saying before. There's tons more, but understand what that means. Understand that a lot of the things we have, it's a privilege to have, yo. Like, we're not guaranteed any of these things. We can lose electricity in America tomorrow and just be off the power grid for God knows how long. It's a privilege. It is, it's a blessing. It's not something that we have a right to. You know, you can be without power. There was life before electricity. So just understand, the things that you have. Don't take it for granted, man, because we're blessed to have a lot of this stuff. I've seen people, especially working in hospitality, I've seen people trip out. I mean, trip out over losing Wi-Fi for a few hours. There was life before Wi-Fi became accessible in the way that it is today, before internet became accessible in the way that it is today. Back when dial-up was going on, that as small as a process that was, it was a process. It taught you patience because you had to wait. If somebody was on the phone and you couldn't use the internet right away, that's a process. You gotta wait. You know what I mean? So it's just we have to be careful, man, with I guess becoming a little too selfish with the things we've been given and have the privilege of having. Um, so just be grateful. Basically, is what I'm saying. Be grateful. But yeah, man, everything that glitters ain't gold. All right, so we have. I'm gonna read this off for you guys. Sometimes process and long suffering is sufficient for refining pure character, humility, and meekness. Okay, we're gonna tap into. Hold on one second. Okay, so meekness is basically being humble, right? Meekness is being humble, which is what humility is, in a sense. It helps you understand that everything. Well, one, it takes away selfishness because everything is not about you, and understanding that everything doesn't have to cater to you. That's part of being spoiled, man. Part of being spoiled is thinking that everything revolves around you, right? And when you're spoiled, you hardly hear a no. It's yes to everything. You get whatever you want. You think that when you say something, it goes basically. That's selfishness. That's the world revolving around you, and that's not the case. I feel bad for people like that. No offense, but at some point in time, it's going to come a point where they are told no, or they're going to run into somebody who does not care about centering things in someone else's life based on the person who is spoiled. Right? That's where this comes into play, man. We have to endure some process. We have to endure some long suffering so that we can develop better and pure character, humility, and meekness. It is very, very important. When people that aren't humble have not experienced a lot of process. They have not seen what it takes to start from scratch. Most of them do not start from the bottom. They start with a silver spoon already. Basically having everything that they need handed to them. They already have the resources, right? Not really having to work for practically anything. For example, today most people go on a market when you're buying a home, right? When you're buying a home, most people go in the market and the house is either already built or in the process of being built by some construction company or whatever the case may be, right? And or apartment or anything. It's there for you already made. It just needs to be furnished and you got to move in. Back in the day, before my time, probably before your time, people built their own homes. You had to actually build your stuff with your bare hands, hard work, grit, and determination. The land you Most people, you have a plot of land or whatever that you inherited from family or whatever the case may be. You're dealing with your tribe, stuff like that. That's typically how it was in those times, based on your tribe and who your people were. You had a plot of land, or if you traveling with a certain leader or something like that, they kind of distribute the land based on whatever their morals and values and all that stuff is, right? But people are given their resources and the things that they own or whatever, and now you are responsible for stewarding those things. And part of stewarding those things or whatever land you got was building your home and whatever other facilities you wanted on your land, in terms of a farm or yeah, a farm or a garden or whatever to produce resources, right? We are missing out on that today. Farmers of today, even though like it's a lot of hard work that they go through today, and considering that we want things instantly, it's even harder because now you got to do a process like farming faster, even though you can't control nature. Like you can't control nature on when it yields fruit or yields whatever you're trying to produce. They have to basically speed up that process because of demand. Like it's just crazy, yo. But back in the day, yo, like they worked for that stuff with their bare hands. So, like baking, right? If you get into the kitchen and bake a cake, that process and that hard work that you experienced during that time is going to yield much more benefits. When you see the final result, you're gonna have much more appreciation for that result. Okay, you're not gonna let somebody just come in there and trash your hard work because of the effort and the time that you spent putting into it. Vice versa, you could also go to Publix and just pick up a pre-made cake or a custom cake that you ordered. Somebody else put that process into it. If you took that cake off the shelf at Publix, you just threw it or tossed it. Whoever whoever made that cake gonna be tight with you, bro, because you put in the work. Like it's man, I'm laughing, but it's really not like it's not funny because when you put in the work for something or you actually go, you endure the process, it means something to you, man. It makes things more meaningful. And I think today we're losing meaning in a lot of things because of convenience, and because of having things instantly. We're losing the meaning of it. I think communication has been dumbed down because of social media. We have lost the meaning and the I can't find the word, but yeah, the meaning and the importance of communication and connection with other human beings, with family and friends, because it's been dulled down through social media, right? Um, Here we go. Let's go ahead and move forward. So, like I was saying, sometimes process and long suffering is sufficient for refining pure character, humility, and meekness. Okay. So the example I'm going to use is the process of turning iron into steel. All right, so that's another example, practically the same as the last, but with this one there are other steps. So the steps you have extraction. These are not in order. You have extraction, right? You have extraction basically, which is purifying. You're removing weaknesses. You're adding strengths. Okay. You have heating and cooling, which helps build the resolve of the metal, and also helps with contortion, which we'll go into shaping, which is another one, shaping, and then you have final form. So extraction, purifying, removing weakness, and adding strength. You have heating and cooling, which goes into shaping and final form. Basically, all of those steps are necessary in the process of making steel into the formidable, well-known, trustworthy metal, strong metal that we have and use today on tons of things. The trust that we have in steel is immaculate because we know what it can do, and the process that that metal endures, that iron endures to become steel, is vital. It's so vital. It is necessary. If we cheat the process on moving iron or turning iron into steel, that trust is going to start to dwindle. Why? Because you're cutting corners. When you use that steel to build a house and it collapses, people are going to be like, yo, what the heck happened? They're going to lose trust in steel, or at least your steel, because you're cutting corners on the process. You can't cut corners on the process. Now if there is a way to make it a bit faster, or to uh kind of combine steps, maybe, right? Fine. Work smarter, not harder, right? But don't lose out on the process altogether. We're at the point now in today's age where the entire process is being cut out. At this point, process is taking a few minutes or even seconds to make the order. That's it. That's about as much process as you get today. The process today is taking a few seconds to type and hit send. Excuse me. That's what process is today. That's what kids today are growing up on, that type of process. They are not growing up on getting their hands dirty, working on a car, right? They're being given a car off the rip. No work, nothing added into it. They don't know the value of it or the work that goes into it. Heck, I don't even know how to work on a car. Bro, if I could go back, I would kill, not literally. Don't take that literally. Bro, it is vital for me to learn how to work on a car. You have no idea how much money I could save doing a simple oil change. Oil change is really not that hard to do. I could probably do it, but lazy, right? Um, lazy. So, oil change, brakes. From what I've heard, at least, brakes probably really not that hard to change on a car, depending on how the car is built, right? Um, Even like, because I know you have to do, like, you have to flush your fluids and stuff like that. That type of stuff is probably not that hard to do, but it takes time. We don't like takes time. It's a process. We don't like process. We don't like having to wait. We want it done right now. We really don't even want to do it, to be honest. We just want it to get done. We're gonna pay you so it can get done. But no matter what, there's a process to be done, and there are benefits, tons and tons of benefits for you by doing the process and enduring the process. Okay. So the same thing is happening with our food in today's age. Okay. I'm going to go into that. All right. So the issue today with our food is that our food is being stripped of its natural nutrients and are using, and because they're using chemicals to speed up the natural process. Okay. With the demand and just how fast farmers have to turn over these products, fruit and veggies and all this other stuff, to be able to get to the manufacturers, to be able to produce the stuff we see in our grocery stores and, wherever we buy our goods from. That process is being sped up because of our demand, because we want it instantly. You want to be able to go to the grocery store and just grab a loaf of bread off the counter or off the shelf, right? Ready to use, ready to eat. But if you had to go out and harvest your own wheat and endure the process of growing the wheat, first off, because that takes time, obviously, of growing the wheat, harvesting it, and basically moving it to what, or doing the steps necessary to move that, turn that wheat into a loaf of bread. Okay, there are tons of steps in there that get skipped out on to get you your bread on the shelf, that you just go in, you grab and you use. You grab and you use. You grab and you use. Shoot. For instance, Pastor Clayton talks about, my pastor at my church, Pastor Clayton, he talks about how some churchgoers go in and they just kind of take. They just take. They don't give anything to the church or to their community, to their church community. They just take. They take a word. They take encouragement. They take whatever, right? But they're not giving anything into it. That's why it means less. It means less literally because you have no investment or involvement in it. The moment you invest into it, it's like, okay, I need to, right? You start to monitor it. You start to be like, okay, how how is this growing? How's it doing? You start to track things because now you are actually invested into what's going on. When you have no ties into what's going on, it doesn't matter. You could care less about the process. You could care less about what's happening with it, what the result is. For what? It doesn't matter to me, right? So process actually plays into a little bit of, um well, yeah, humility, but selflessness, right? Not being selfish. You will become selfless by being involved in process because you understand the work that goes into it. When you don't understand the work that goes into it, you don't relate and you're ignorant. You don't know, right? You don't know what it takes for that. All you know is you get your result. So now you're being selfish by just wanting the result. But you don't care for the people and the time and resources it takes to get to your result that you're using, right? So we have to be careful with that, man. Um, Convenient isn't always good for you. Wait, one second, one second. Okay, so, but yes, our foods are being stripped of the natural nutrients because of our greediness in trying to get these things done in a quick demand, quick turnaround, right? We're stripping the nutrients from the food. So there are chemicals being used that actually take the good stuff out of the food that we eat. It harms the food, which ultimately would end up harming us because we're not getting what the food is supposed to give us simply because people are trying to skip out on process. Literally, just because people are trying to skip out on process, they are causing harm to the food, which ultimately causes harm to us. So I'm gonna try to break this down, but in a sense, our selfishness to try to speed things up for ourselves is actually causing harm to us by harming what we're trying to get, using that thing that is harmed, right? Our result or product or whatever, we're using it, which ultimately harms us because we've harmed the product by trying to get things faster, basically. Okay. Convenient isn't always good for you. Okay. Now we to that point. So yeah, I was getting a little ahead of myself. All right. Um, we get lazy when spoiled. Character is built through trial and tribulations. The process helps to develop key qualities within us, like patience, critical thinking skills, humility, or being humble, okay, meekness, what I was talking about earlier, and gratitude. You become more grateful for these things when process is involved, when trials and tribulations is involved, when you have to actually endure through something, you become more grateful. You build critical thinking skills. Literally, man, people in tough or just like pressured situations, people literally don't know what to do simply because they have never been in those situations before. And even more so, critical thinking has been taken out. We're to the point now where there's AI, right? For the clips I make for this podcast, I literally upload my video, AI chops it all up because I'm too lazy to cut it myself, and then I just save it and post it, right? Now, I mean, it sounds hypocritical, but I'm a part of the problem. Like it's all right, guys. So we had a little bit of technical difficulties. My mic went out at the end of my video on the last clip that I had for that episode. It's literally the last part. So this won't take too long. Um, if you're seeing that part about 6 minutes into the video, after like the 6:05 mark, audio cut out on me. So I got to go back and I'm re-recording that part basically. So we had just finished up talking about the process and how the process helps to develop key qualities within us, like patience, critical thinking skills, humility, uh, being humble, gratitude, and meekness. I actually also just saw I was looking at critical thinking, like definitions and stuff, and just theories and stuff, right? Um, but it says critical thinking is a kind of thinking in which you question, analyze, interpret, evaluate, and make a judgment about what you read, hear, say, or write. Okay. The term critical comes from the Greek word uh, kritikos or kritikos, meaning able to judge or discern. Okay, so that's a little gem for you right there. That's a little gem for you. All right. Um, so basically, that's the part I was ending. But just to expound on the critical thinking, uh, like just to expound on that bit, I was basically saying that critical thinking was falling off. Basically, like in today's age, you don't have to critical think because you can just Google something. You can't make a proper judgment. on your own, just thinking about it, just analyzing it on your own. Basically, what that definition was saying, we've lost. It was a few gems in there. If you like, we are losing those things though. Let me go back and see what it says. Analysis, interpretation, evaluation, and judgment. Right? That's key. Those are key things that we need in our lives just to be able to manage. To be able to discern, like I said, with access, to be able to discern the people that you are letting into your life. You need these skills to be able to discern, uh, right, things like your purpose and just being able to use the talents and skills that God has blessed you with. You need these skills. You need critical thinking and the things that come with it. Okay. Moving on to the last piece. I hope that helped out, explaining from the last bit that kind of got cut off. But this is the final part that wasn't in um, the last clip. And this is basically saying we are grateful to the Lord more when He has brought us across the Red Sea. And I'm going to expound on that as well. Of course, you know about the story of the Red Sea, the Israelites being rescued or being rescued from Egypt, being delivered from Egypt out of slavery and bondage, right? They're brought to the Red Sea. The Egyptian army and Pharaoh is chasing them and, yeah, basically closing in on them. They have nowhere to go but across the Red Sea. How are they going to do it, right? This is trials and tribulations in your life. Just see the Red Sea as trials and tribulations, things that you are dreading having to come to. Seems almost impossible. Um, yeah, like seems like you're never going to get across this. Seems like you're never going to get away from this, and it's just going to continue to be an issue, right? But what does God do? He delivers them, and He splits the Red Sea, and they are guided across the Red Sea to the other side. Their enemies pursued them through to what seemed like a nearly impossible situation, and boom, the Lord dropped the water on them, killing them. Right? um, yeah, I've had plenty of moments throughout my life where I've come to something, to a project or anything of that sort. Um, yeah, projects in school, just different things, like things that were difficult. You think at the time, like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get this done. Or even if you procrastinated a little bit before, and the due date for an assignment is coming up, you know what I'm talking about. Because at that point, you like, man, I got a few hours to get this done. I don't know how I'm gonna get this done, but even more so than that, get it done in a manner that's um, that's proper, right? In a way that's going to get you a good grade. You need excellence from it. You need efficiency from it. So doing it in that way, and the way God does these things in the moments that seem to us like the very last minute, the very last second, the way He does it is the most efficient, the most like probably the best way to do it. You know, and I'm sure if the Israelites, when they got to that water, before the army even closed in on them, they would have did exactly what the Lord did through Moses. If they had the power and ability to do that, it's the best way. Like, man, I wish I could just part this sea right now. You know what I mean? So I just think that was a nice little point to throw in there. But to get back to the point, when that happened, right? Yes, Israel did forget about God afterwards. Um, when they were wandering in the wilderness and stuff like that. And that's kind of the reason why they were wandering. But you have to understand that going through those trials, it it builds your gratitude. It builds like your gratefulness to the Lord. We're human. We are going to forget. We oftentimes we bite the hand that feeds us. Sadly, right? But no matter what, during that time when they got across there, their gratitude for the Lord increased. Now, it shouldn't have to just come off of an action like that, but that's what happens when you persevere through something. When there's no way out, and you like, man, I think this is it. Like, I'm done, right? You persevere, you work through it, you grind it out. You saw what you came from. It gives you more gratitude for where you are currently. And yeah, I'm gonna just leave you guys with that. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you on the next one. By the way, if you are watching this video came out on Wednesday. I'm recording this on this last piece on Tuesday. So it's been a couple days since when I originally recorded, but I had to get this piece in there and finish it properly. I didn't want to because I was upset. I was upset about the audio cutting off on the video and stuff. Technically I wasn't that upset, but I was a little discouraged is what I would say. I was discouraged about the audio cutting off and having to redo it. I actually thought I lost more than what I did, but as you can see, I'm persevering. I'm getting through it. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You get the point. It all adds up, man. Go through some things, experience some things, and you're going to be greatly blessed by going through the process. Don't just skip over trying to get it done the fastest you can possibly do. Typically, it's not going to be a great job. Endure the process. The process will, in the long run, give you character traits and qualities and just essentials that you need in your life and for your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives to teach them things. If you never experience or go through anything ever, what can you possibly teach them? Unless you learn it from somewhere else, but whatever. This has been another episode of Just You and Me. This is Keontae King, and I hope you guys pull up for the next one. Drop in the comments. Me and Celeste need questions for a Q&A. We need questions, so drop them in the comment section if you made it this far. Drop them in the comment section. We need those to be able to do a Q&A. I'm bringing her back on for an episode. I saw a clip, an older clip from a couple of seasons ago when she was on. I was like, oh, we definitely got to do that again. It was fire. So, yeah, do that for us. I appreciate y'all, man. Take it easy.